Previously, during Jinwoo's discussion with Agent White, he noticed something missing. The rank 6 hunter was nowhere to be seen. Agent White clarified the matter. He explained that contact with the hunter had been lost several days before the conference. Despite the combined efforts of the Bureau's secret division and the Brazilian government, his location remained unknown. Hearing this, Jin Wu quietly considered the situation. The thought occurred to him that the hunter might have already been captured by the enemy. With that possibility in mind, he adjusted his count, leaving only 7 names still on the list. Back in Korea, Chairman Go Gun-hee sat alone in his office, pressing a hand against his chest. His heart trembled, and he could not ignore the unease coursing through him. For years his body had carried this burden, but recently the tremors had grown worse. He wondered if he had finally reached his limit. The doctors had warned him long ago that continuing his work would end his life within 6 months. Yet 2 years had already passed, and somehow he had endured. For that, he felt he should be grateful. His phone rang, and it was his wife checking in on him. After assuring her he was fine, he smiled faintly, thinking how she worried too much. He was about to leave for home when a sudden chill filled the office. A presence appeared without warning. Chairman Go turned his head and saw the Monarch of Frost, Sillid, standing silently in the room. Startled, the chairman realized he had not sensed his arrival at all. Judging by the immense aura surrounding him, it was clear that this was not someone he could handle alone. The monarch calmly informed him that the office had already been isolated from the outside world. The chairman wondered if he was dreaming, but the thought was quickly shattered when a shard of ice tore into him. The sharp pain proved this was all too real. Struggling, he demanded to know the intruder's identity. The monarch scoffed, remarking that he had expected recognition without introductions. To him, Go Gun-hee was nothing more than a human host. Releasing a wave of freezing mana, Sillid called out to what he referred to as the fragment of luminosity. He taunted that the fragment might be hiding out of fear that its vessel would shatter. But if that was the case, he continued, this entire conversation was meaningless. Another ice strike slammed into the chairman. As the dust settled, glowing eyes emerged from within Go Gun-hee, and the monarch's next attack was deflected with ease. For the first time, Sillid smiled, calling him the brightest fragment of luminosity. Go Gun-hee rose to his feet, pointing out that the monarch had trapped his office in a dimensional rift. Sillid admitted it was a clever tactic. He revealed that the monarchs had already tracked down all 7 fragments of luminosity and destroyed 2. What he wanted now was to see the humiliation on the fragment's face before finishing him off. Enraged, the chairman declared that if Sillid truly wished to destroy him, then he should try. The Monarch of Frost mocked his defiance, comparing him to a parasite borrowing the body of a human, while boasting that he had fully conquered his own vessel. The room filled with ice as the battle began. The monarch launched attacks, but the chairman shattered them with brute force. He lunged forward, landing a headbutt and throwing a punch. Yet Sillid was too fast, dodging with ease and countering with ice spikes that nearly pierced the chairman's head. The chairman fought back with relentless strength, but each movement drained his failing body. He knew he had to end it quickly before his body gave out completely. Gathering his remaining energy, he launched a devastating punch. The impact sent Sillid crashing backward, but immediately afterward, Go Gun-hee collapsed to one knee, his strength faltering. Seeing him weakened, Sillid sneered, declaring that his human vessel had reached its limit. With chilling speed, the monarch thrust an ice sword through the chairman's chest. Smirking, he mocked how long it would take to find another host. 1 year, perhaps 2, insisting the world would already be destroyed by then. Despite his injuries, the chairman smiled. He revealed that he had not fought aimlessly. There was something the monarch had overlooked. With the last of his strength, he hurled a fireball. Though it missed its target, it struck the wall, cracking the dimensional barrier that trapped the room. From the breach, one of Jin Woo's shadow soldiers emerged, the ant soldier he had left behind to guard the chairman. Sillid scoffed, dismissing it as insignificant, but his expression shifted the moment he sensed something dangerous about it. Before he could stop it, the soldier slipped into the real world. In rage, the monarch prepared to cut it down, but his attack was halted, blocked by Jin Wu, who had suddenly arrived. Jin Wu stood firm, catching the icy blade with his bare hand. He grabbed Scylla by the throat, demanding to know who he was. Recognizing Jin Wu as the Shadow Monarch, the Monarch of Frost mocked him, sensing the countless soldiers hidden within his shadows. He commented that Jin Wu must be the one he had heard about, the missing piece. Ice began creeping up Jin Wu's arm, but he simply summoned his dagger and shattered it without effort. The monarch smirked and admitted that he had no intention of dying here. Pointing toward the wounded chairman, he offered a cruel choice. Fight him or save the dying man. An ice blade shot toward Go-Gun-Hee. Jin Wu tried to stop it with his ruler's authority, but a system message appeared. The monarch's magic resisted the skill. Desperate, Jin Wu hurled a dagger, but the sword twisted in midair, avoiding it and continuing toward the chairman. With no other option, Jin Wu focused on deflecting the blade away from the chairman. He succeeded, but in that moment, Scylla had already opened a portal to retreat. Before disappearing, Jin Wu unleashed Dagger Rush, sending countless blades after him. One struck the monarch's shoulder, drawing blood. Furious, Scylla declared that he would retreat for now, but promised to return. Before vanishing, he mocked that the half-dead chairman could serve as a gift for Jin Wu's shadow army. When the monarch was gone, Jin Wu rushed to the chairman's side. The wounds were far too severe. He summoned Baru, ordering him to heal the man at all costs. The ant general tried desperately, but his magic had no effect. Refusing to give up, Jin Wu produced the holy water of life, intending to save him. But the chairman stopped him with a weak hand. He thanked Jin Wu for coming, telling him not to waste such a precious item. He explained that no treatment could reverse wounds inflicted by the monarchs. With calm acceptance, Go-Gun-Hee expressed his gratitude that Jin Wu possessed such strength. He warned that one day, Jin Wu would have to choose between sides, and he begged him to stand with humanity. The chairman smiled faintly, proud that he had lived long enough to fight alongside young hunters like Jin Wu. He confessed that his only regret was leaving the future unfinished, but he also found relief, knowing it was in capable hands. As his final moments came, he revealed that the reason his heart had never stopped beating until now was so he could meet Jin Wu. With a peaceful smile, his life quietly faded. His last words were filled with gratitude, whispering that it was a relief to have met him. The following day, devastating news shook the world. Brazil's strongest hunter, Jonas, was discovered dead in a nearby river. At the same time, reports confirmed that Korea's Hunter Association chairman, Go-Gun-Hee, had been brutally murdered, his heart pierced in the attack. The shocking announcement spread like wildfire across global media. Headlines blared the deaths of high-ranking hunters, sending the entire world into panic. News outlets everywhere focused on this unprecedented tragedy. Even the United States Hunter Bureau released a joint statement. They emphasized that hunters were humanity's protectors, but posed a sobering question: who would protect the hunters themselves? The deaths of world-class hunters signaled a threat unlike anything seen before. Amid this turmoil, Jin Wu attended the funeral of Chairman Go-Gun-Hee. Standing beside him was Hunter Woo Jin-chul, grief-stricken and barely able to contain his sorrow. Jin Wu quietly asked if he was holding up. Woo Jin-chul admitted he had not been himself since the chairman's passing. He then asked about the creature responsible, wondering if it had been so powerful that even Jin Wu's strength could not prevail. Jin Wu solemnly explained that when he arrived, it had already been too late. Still in disbelief, Woo Jin-chul confessed that the loss felt unreal. Only the day before, the chairman had spoken with him, asking about his stay in America and urging him to return quickly. Now that voice was gone forever. Fighting back tears, he thanked Jin Wu for trying to save his leader during his final moments. But Jin Wu's eyes burned with fury. He declared that he would not accept gratitude until he avenged the chairman. He swore on his life that he would hunt down and kill the monster responsible. With resolve hardening inside him, Jin Wu turned to Woo Jin-chul and instructed him to call in the reporters. Soon after, a press conference was held. Standing before the world, Jin Wu addressed the rising threat. He revealed that a colony of monsters with extraordinary intelligence was specifically targeting the world's strongest hunters. These creatures were far beyond the capabilities of ordinary hunters. They cared nothing for weapons or tactics. Instead, they excelled at sealing off spaces with powerful magic, isolating their prey, and striking with terrifying precision. Jin Wu warned that hunters who believe themselves potential targets should never stand alone. They needed comrades willing to protect them, or else they would not survive. He recalled the terrifying enemy who had introduced himself as the Monarch of Frost before vanishing. Facing such a being had felt impossible, even for the strongest among them. Finishing his address, Jinwoo delivered a final message to the world. Any hunter without comrades to stand by their side should reach out directly through the Korean Hunter Association. The scene shifts deep inside a hidden cave, where the monarchs have gathered to discuss their next move. The Monarch of Frost, Quarisha, spoke first. He informed the others that the Shadow Monarch had finally appeared on the surface of the human world. Hearing this, the Monarch of Transfiguration, the king of demonic specters, voiced his doubts. He questioned whether it was even possible for a human vessel to contain the full power of the Shadow Monarch. After all, wasn't that the very reason the Dragon King, Monarch of Destruction, could not freely remain in the human realm? But the Monarch of Frost countered that the Shadow Monarch had become a greater threat than even the fragment of brilliant light. He made it clear that he intended to deal with Sung Jinwoo himself, and he demanded to know if the others would lend him their support. The Monarch of the Iron Body, Tarnak, quickly dismissed the idea. He warned that picking a fight with the Shadow Monarch was nothing short of suicide. Among the 9 monarchs, Jinwoo now stood as one of the strongest, and Tarnak insisted they should instead wait for the Dragon King's return. The Monarch of Frost rejected this suggestion. He reminded them that they were monarchs, beings born of destruction. Even if they were scattered and on the run, their duty was to fight. Their only chance to kill the Shadow Monarch was now, while his power was still tied to a fragile human vessel. He promised that he would take full responsibility and erase Jinwoo from existence. But Tarnak, along with the Monarch of Transfiguration, both refused. They reminded him of what happened to the Monarch of White Flames. At that moment, the Monarch of Beasts, Rakan, stepped forward. Unlike the others, he agreed to side with the Monarch of Frost. Tarnak immediately warned him that if they failed, the Shadow Monarch would enslave them, just as he had enslaved the fallen monarch before. Rakan dismissed the warning, insisting that the Shadow Monarch could not transform them into shadow soldiers in their original forms, but Tarnak then revealed the truth. Jinwoo was not fighting alone. He had joined forces with the Architect, the system's administrator. With their combined power, there was indeed a chance that even monarchs could be forced into servitude. Unmoved, Tarnak and the Monarch of Transfiguration turned their backs and left the cave, declaring that they refused to become tools for the Shadow Monarch's growing dominion. Once they were gone, Rakan demanded proof that Jinwoo was still nothing more than a human vessel. In response, the Monarch of Frost revealed the dagger he had used during battle. He explained that it had been coated in poison, something the true Shadow Monarch would never need to rely on. This revelation caught the attention of Kureisha, the Monarch of Plagues and Queen of Insects. She pointed out that if Jinwoo had full control over his powers, he would never have needed to use poison as a weapon. When asked if she would lend her support, the Queen of Insects agreed. Together, they vowed to hunt down and kill the Shadow Monarch. Meanwhile, Sung Jinwoo stood high above the city, gazing from the rooftop of a tall building. He focused his senses, trying to track down the Monarch of Frost, Quaresha. Yet no trace of her magic power could be felt. He recalled their earlier battle and remembered her words. She had claimed to be in her original form, and during that time, he noticed she left behind no shadow. This reminded Jinwoo of what the Monarch of Giants once told him, that monarchs and rulers, when in their original bodies, could never be turned into shadow soldiers. Back at the Korean Hunter Association, a meeting was underway. Woo Jin-chul, along with the directors, gathered to discuss appointing a new chairman. It had been a week since Go Gun-hee's death, and the seat remained empty. The officials debated how crucial the position was. With Go Gun-hee being an S-rank hunter, his presence had carried immense symbolic weight. Now that the association had lost its figurehead, they feared the 5 great guilds would be difficult to keep under control. While strong hunters carried influence, the directors stressed that leadership required more than power. It required trust and authority. After thorough discussion, the directors reached a unanimous decision. Woo Jin-chul should take the role of chairman. Startled, Woo asked why they were placing their faith in him. The officials explained their reasoning. He had worked closely alongside the former chairman, gaining experience and learning the inner workings of the association. He had shown his ability to lead and, more importantly, the authority to command respect and even fear from hunters across Korea. They reminded him there was no law requiring the president to be S rank. What the association needed now was stability, and he was the best candidate to provide it. Though they could not force him, they urged him to accept. After a long pause, Woo Jin-chul gave his answer. He would consider their proposal. Meanwhile, in America, Thomas Andre and his secretary Laura descended in an elevator deep into the underground facility of the Scavenger Guild. As the doors opened, Thomas remarked that it had been some time since he last visited this place. As they walked through the restricted area, Laura asked if he truly intended to give the item away as a gift. Thomas responded with a question of his own. Was it not worth more than his life and the lives of his guild members? Laura clarified that wasn't her concern. Thomas then asked if she believed Jinwoo lacked the skill to wield it. Stopping in front of a weapon sealed away in storage, Thomas admired its brilliance, remarking how incredible it still looked after all this time. Laura noted that only 2 such weapons existed in the entire world, and she was certain no more would ever be created. Thomas agreed, and when asked again if he truly planned to part with it, he confirmed. A weapon of such power deserved to be wielded, not left to collect dust underground. Back in Korea, Jinwoo's younger sister Gina was watching television. The news was reporting on the appointment of Woo Jin-chul as the new chairman of the Hunter Association. Shaking her head, Gina muttered that the previous chairman had been murdered, and now a younger, more handsome man had stepped in to take his place. She sighed at how unstable not just Korea, but the entire world had become. She turned to her mother, who was quietly washing dishes, and hugged her from behind. Her mother, smiling faintly, asked her to take out the trash if she had nothing better to do. Gina groaned, admitting she was too lazy, and instead suggested they move to a new place. But her mother firmly replied that she liked this house. Curious, Gina asked what exactly she liked about their old apartment. Changing the subject, her mother simply asked her to bring in the laundry. With a shrug, Gina went to fetch it. But as she opened the door, her expression froze. A wave of terror washed over her, and without thinking, she sprinted back, shouting for her mother. Outside the Ajin Guild headquarters, crowds of reporters had gathered after hearing that Thomas Andre was inside the building. Inside, Yujin Ho was doing his best to stay calm. With both Thomas Andre and Leonard Neumann, the strongest hunter in Germany, waiting in the office, the pressure was overwhelming. He kept glancing at his phone, frustrated that Sung Jin Woo hadn't answered a single call. Nearly 2 hours had passed, and still no sign of him. Leonard sat quietly, unease etched on his face. He knew why Thomas had come to Korea. He was searching for Sung Jin Woo. Leonard wondered if today might finally be the day he met the man himself. Breaking the silence, Thomas asked a question in English, which Laura translated. He wanted to know whether Sung Jin Woo was currently in a raid. His absence from the office seemed unusual. With a shaky voice, Jin Ho confirmed it, saying Jin Woo often didn't come in regularly because of constant gate activity. Just then, the office doors opened. Sung Jin Woo stepped inside. A wave of relief swept over the room. Jin Ho nearly burst into tears as he asked where Jin Woo had been and why he hadn't answered his phone. Seeing the dust on his clothes, he suspected Jin Woo had been handling gate outbreaks. Jin Woo simply replied that there had been too many to ignore, and he couldn't afford to rest. Thomas rose from his seat and greeted him. Jin Ho's heart pounded, wondering if the 2 titans were about to clash right there in the office. But Jin Woo calmly asked why Thomas had come all the way to Korea. Thomas reminded him of a promise, that once his arm healed, they would share a meal together. He also mentioned that he had brought a special gift, something far too dangerous to reveal in the guild office. Hearing this, Jin Woo frowned, half joking to himself that Thomas hadn't brought a bomb. Jin Ho remained deeply suspicious, thinking it could easily be a trap. Turning to the second guest, Jin Woo asked about his identity. The man introduced himself as Leonard Neumann from Germany. Jin Woo immediately guessed he was here to request a protection commission, but before he could say more, Thomas interrupted, urging them to leave for another location. Leonard tried to join them, insisting that after waiting more than 2 hours, he had earned the right to be part of the meeting. Thomas shot him down sharply, saying that what they were about to discuss was top secret and not something Leonard could intrude upon. The dismissal stung. Leonard thought bitterly to himself that he had never been treated with such disregard before. The scene shifted to a restaurant where Jin Wu and Thomas sat across from one another. After signaling his men, Thomas leaned forward with a serious look. He said he had been waiting a long time for this moment, then placed a case on the table. Jin Wu's eyes narrowed. He could sense the immense power radiating from within the case. Thomas explained that it was a gift, a token of gratitude for saving his guild members. When the lid opened, Jin Wu was left speechless. Inside rested a pair of daggers, forged from Kamish's fang. Jin Wu immediately recognized them. He asked if they had truly been made from the corpse of Kamish, the legendary dragon whose body was under the control of the Hunter Bureau. Thomas clarified. Back then, the U.S. government had ordered the Scavenger Guild to comply with the Bureau's request. But during the battle, when Kamish had bitten him, Thomas had one of its largest canines extracted as a personal keepsake. The fang had been too short to make a sword, so he had it crafted into twin daggers. And now he was offering them to Jin Wu. Jin Wu inspected the blades and was stunned. Their attack power far surpassed that of the Demon King's dagger, which had once been one of his best weapons. He tested the new daggers in his hand, feeling how they resonated with his magic. The reaction was almost alive, as if the weapons were greeting their new master. The overwhelming mana pouring from the blades caused everyone nearby to break into a sweat. Watching this, Thomas asked his assistant, Laura, if she still thought it had been a mistake to give them away. Then he turned back to Jin Wu, asking whether he liked the gift. Jin Wu, still in disbelief, asked if he was really being given such priceless weapons for free. Thomas answered without hesitation. To him, the exchange was more than fair. Compared to the lives of himself and his guildmates, the daggers were nothing. Their conversation was suddenly cut short. Both men sensed it at the same time, an immense burst of magical energy. They rushed outside, scanning the sky. Jin Wu wondered if this was the same form of magical power that the doctor had mentioned during his earlier presentation. Thomas's eyes widened in disbelief. He muttered that he had never seen a gate this massive before. It dwarfed even the one from which Kamish had appeared. Looking at the terrifying spectacle, he added grimly that perhaps the world was now moving beyond the limits of human understanding. Outside, civilians could only stare at the sky in shock. But instead of running, many pulled out their phones to capture the unbelievable sight on video. News outlets quickly broadcasted the event. A reporter explained that the colossal gate above Seoul was the largest ever seen since the emergence of magical beasts. The scene then shifted to the United States. Inside a meeting room, Dr. Belzer was being questioned by government officials about the sudden appearance of the gate. Calmly, he reminded them that he had been warning for days about the unusual concentration of magical energy building in the skies above Korea. The gate above Seoul, he explained, was only the beginning. More gates of this magnitude were likely to appear in the skies of other nations as well. When pressed for his professional opinion, given his long years of research on gates and magical beasts, Dr. Belzer offered only a grim reply. He said the world should pray that this phenomenon did not end in tragedy. Back in Korea, Sung Jinwoo flew high above the city on Kaisel's back, approaching the massive gate. As he neared it, he realized something unsettling. He could not pass through. It felt as though an invisible barrier was blocking his way. If it were a physical wall, he could have shattered it with ease. But this was different. This was a force even someone like him could not overcome. Jinwoo wondered what kind of existence could be sealed inside such a gate. It was unlike anything he had encountered before. Looking down at the countless people beneath the shadow of the rift, he thought of his friends and family. He steeled himself with a silent vow that whatever lay inside, he would not allow it to reach them. As he pondered his next move, his phone rang. Chairman Woo Jin-chul was on the line. Jinwoo asked whether the Hunter Bureau had investigated the request he had made earlier. The chairman confirmed they had. Jinwoo had asked the Bureau to conduct a satellite scan of the world, searching for any other gates that might have appeared. Woo Jin-chul reported that none had shown up apart from the one above Seoul. He added that the authorities were already preparing to evacuate civilians living near the massive gate. Then in a cautious tone, he asked Jinwoo what he planned to do next. Jinwoo gave a quiet, resolute answer. Even if no one knew what would happen tomorrow, he would continue forward. Just as someone plants an apple tree, without knowing if they will live to see it bear fruit. The episode ends here. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. Thanks again for your support, and I'll see you next time.